Hey,
Hi,
Anish.
Giuseppe. Hi.
Oh,
Please have a seat. Thank you. Thanks for joining us
I'm
at
really
AWS.
happy to be with you today.
Thank you. Fantastic. Yes. So today we have Giuseppe from DXC, who's our guest today for this talk, and we are looking to hear more about the Mac solution and how what it has to offer from a technical standpoint for some of our technical audience. Giuseppe, let's dive straight into it. Can you please tell me what Max is all about from a technical standpoint?
Yes, so Max is a tool to support companies in designing more sustainable products. That means that you have to get the full visibility of what is inside the product. So if you consider that for a typical vehicle manufacturer, the bill of material has more than 1,000 components inside. So for a truck, for example, you have to use up to 30,000 parts inside your bill of material. You can imagine how complex is the data model that you need to manage to get the full visibility of what is inside your product. So this is what exactly Max is doing and is addressing. And that's the reason why we decided to use the AWS services, because we wanted to have a real scalable data model and still performant data models.
So can we deep dive into a little bit on the architecture front itself? So how are you scaling on this front? Are you using traditional architecture? Are you using microservices? How are you doing that?
Yes, I think that we have two key points in our AWS architecture that we leverage. The first is because we address global companies that used to have global operations around the world. So we need to give each user around the world the same user experience. And that's the reason why we adopted a cloud-front architecture to allow deploying in the same way, the same functionalities around the world. And the second key point is the scalability. So we wanted to architect our solution in a microservices dimension. That means that we can combine all the services that we need to be more flexible in addressing the specific functionality. And for that, it was key to use AWS EKS, that is a containerized environment typical in AWS that is helping us to re-architect and be flexible in deploying in new services.
Brilliant. Okay. And you mentioned CloudFront. Obviously, that is our content delivery network. Are you using any other managed services from AWS which helps you achieve the architecture better? Is there any asynchronous architecture that you've taken into consideration?
Yeah, so still staying on EKS, one key benefit we have in terms of managed services is the ability to put in place a CI/CD automatic pipeline. What does it mean? It means that whenever you have to deploy a new instance on a new customer, you can immediately put in place the pipeline to deploy the services that you need on the specific customer instance. And this is a key benefit we have from EKS.
Brilliant. And with regards to some of our managed services such as databases, I heard about the complexity of the data model that you spoke about. Can you describe what are the services that you're using from AWS on the database front that helps you manage that complex model?
Yeah, so we use a typical storage AWS services like S3 and EC2. And the reason is that we need to be reactive and scalable as soon as the customer needs more volumes and more storage. Consider, for example, that one of our largest customers was able to manage up to 150,000 components after less than 1 year. So you can imagine how rapid was the increase of volume they needed. And so that we needed a solution that could rapidly increase the volume through a flexible subscription. So that's what AWS is giving us.
Brilliant, brilliant. And with regards to the roadmap as to what does that outlook look like for Max?
Yeah, we have several projects running on that. One is to use Amazon Q for improving the user experience of Max. So to giving the user the chance to use as much as possible a natural language to interact with the Max data model. So for example, to be able to ask more customized reporting or analysis on the full data model. Or second is how to leverage on the history of the previous interactions and transactions, so we can benefit on the future transaction on what happens in the past. So we need to consolidate and reuse the past experience. This is another key point that we are looking at with Amazon Q. Another interesting extension would be to build an API-based architecture that will allow to integrate easily Max with any kind of environment we find in the customer. You can imagine that for all the customers we have today, we never found exactly the same environment. So it's a key point to have an easy way to integrate whatever you find in a customer landscape.
Brilliant. So I hear a headless architecture and GenAI on the roadmap. That sounds very interesting. Any final thoughts for people who are looking to understand this more technically? How do you put Max across to somebody who's looking to make a decision?
The other point, I can mention another interesting point, that is the event-driven architecture that Amazon can allow us, because whenever you get a new material data sheet from the supply chain, it is important that the user has to be immediately notified of that. So he can take an action, or he can just decide to treat as a bunch the day after. So it's up to user to decide. So we want to give the user this kind of flexibility, have all the elements to decide what to do in terms of what happens in the supply chain. So is a kind of a reaction in real time of what happens there. Yes. And the event-driven Amazon architecture could really help.
Right, brilliant. Okay, thanks for all the insights. It's wonderful to know and learn about Max, and it's pleasure to have you here. Thank you.
Thank you, Amish.